צהריים טובים, שמי דוד לוי פאור, ואנחנו במעברים, בסמינר הקיץ שלנו, איזו מסגרת כזאת לאומית, פתוחה, אינטרדיסציפלינרית להצגות של תלמידי מחקר, ובכלל גם חוקרים. והיום אנחנו מארחים את אנה ליצ'ינצר, בהרצאה שהיא בחרה לתת באנגלית, שנקראת ממשליות היברידית, או הלוגיקה של ממשליות היברידית, אני גם אגיד את זה באנגלית, Hybrid Governability Logic, Hura CCTV Project and the Case Study. זה למעשה, אם אני מבין נכון, זה ה-MA שלה מהמחלקה לפוליטיקה וממשל. אנה גמרה תואר ראשון בפסיכולוגיה, תואר שני בממשל ופוליטיקה בבן גוריון, וממשיכה ללמוד בפלסנבורג יוניברסיטי בגרמניה, שהיא לא רחוק מכאן, המקום שבו אני נמצא, שזה קופנהגן. הדוקטורט שלה יעסוק בנושאים של צדק מעברי, מיעוטים ומוסדות של זיכרונות קולקטיביים. אז ברוכה הבאה אלינו, אנה, אנחנו צריכים לארח אותך, מודים לך על התעוזה לבוא ולהציג ולהיות חלק מקהל של שיח שלנו, והבמה היא שלך ל-15 דקות של הצגה, בבקשה.
So thank you, David. I will present in English because I would like to just make more, to gain more experience in this. So I will show a presentation during my words, and it will be very, very short and very, very summarized, and there's much more to say about my field work, but we only have 15 minutes. So I will show you the presentation. And this way, and up. Okay. So I'll start. So from my point of view, this case study is first of all a story that should be told, and only after an interesting research that has theoretical and empirical significance. This is a story of an ambitious establishment of a CCTV center in a place we would not expect, based on our basic knowledge about a Bedouin big village in the Negev. And only after learning the historical and social events that have shaped this space at the last 100 years, this paradox was no longer so in my eyes. Therefore, I will waste a few minutes for the background and to discuss Hura as a special kind of settlement. And to do so, I will take a zoom out in space and time and start with 1948. Before the war, there was between 65 to 19,000 Bedouins in the Negev desert. During and after the war of 1948, most of them fled or were deported to the Gaza Strip, to Jordan, Sinai, and the West Bank. In the early 1950s, the 11,000 Bedouin remained in Israel were concentrated in the Siag area, adding 19 tribes to the 9 tribes that had previously lived there. In the dry area that extends north and east of Beersheba, the Bedouin resided under military rule until it came to an end in 1966. Sedentarization attempts of the Negev Bedouin began as early as the Ottoman Empire time. They continued during the British Mandate through the establishment of Israel state and continue to this day. Sedentarization is the process of nomadic populations settling permanently in one space. The land reform led by the Ottoman Empire in 1958 had an important effect on this, on the loss of the Bedouin ownership of their land. According to the reform, land ownership was driven from the categorical classification of the land, but this did not coincide with the realities of the land as the Bedouin law saw it, whereby ownership was driven from a long-standing hold on all land. Under the military regime, it was not possible for the Bedouin population to claim from the state their ownership of their land, whether inside or outside the Siag area. In the early 1960s, the first initiative for a permanent Bedouin settlement program appeared. It was not designed for the Siag area, but outside it, in the mixed cities of Ramla, Lod, Jaffa, and Beersheba. This plan was initiated by then Minister of Agriculture, Moshe Dayan. According to this plan, about 10,000 Bedouins of the Negev, which numbered about 15,000 at the time, would be granted housing in one of these cities, as long as they waived their right on the Nagab land. This plan has failed. Some of the families who did move to the cities soon after returned to their lands in the Negev due to the lack of suitable conditions for their assimilation in the cities, and the forced abandonment of the Bedouin traditions due to the nature of urban settlement. In the end, only the margins of Bedouin societies, like criminals and classless with no land, property, or work, agreed to move and to stay. At the 70s, we see a shift in the governmental policy towards the type of settlement for the Negev Bedouins. It was decided to establish towns with two major characteristics. One, multi-tribal, in contrast to a village dedicated to a homogeneous Hamula or tribe, which was and still does to this day the Bedouin preference. And the second is non-agricultural settlement, again in contradiction to the Bedouin way of life, which was agriculture in nature, and the economical framework of society before 1948. And by this policy, 7 townships were established, Hura being the last in 1990. So now we are finishing the zoom out, and let's discuss a bit about Hura. So the population of Hura consists of social groups different in their scale, and this is important to my research. There are the 3 tribes, the big Hamulas, and along them there are smaller origin groups, extended families, and nuclear families. The major tribes are Abul Kian in the east, Alatauna in the west, and Al Nabari at the south. In 2004, only 4 years after Hura was given the first time the right to elect its municipality leader role, Dr. Mohamad Al Nabari was elected as the mayor of Hura after running under the list of the southern stream of the Islamic movement. In my interview with Al Nabari, close employee, he said Al Nabari was called by his family to stop his professional career as a successful chemist and to represent them politically. In Al Nabari's own words, his motivation for establishing a city control center was adding efficiency to the municipality's civic work, but more so was the high level of violence in the streets. And in his own words, I will say them. We knew that without enforcement, we will suffer vandalism and violence, especially in educational institutions. I mean the violence that was started in 2008 when a child left school and murdered someone at its gates. And he also adds in this context, Bedouin violence is unique. When 2 children quarrel at school in the morning, in the evening it will turn out into a fight of 3,000 people between 2 tribes. And so when the project of CWV, City Without Violence, offered Hura in 2012 the budget and means to implement closed-circuit television cameras in Hura, it was taken with both hands by Al Nabari. The rest of the population had needed more persuasion since it feared it will harm women modesty values. And now let's stop and discuss shortly the City Without Violence program. City Without Violence was a pilot program in the city of Eilat, formulated in the city of Eilat in 2006 in order to tackle crime and vandalism by youth and young adults visitors to the city. CWV is based on the concept that violence is best tackled by creating partnerships of bodies such as the police, the local authorities, social services, and getting them to work in concert. It employs a variety of means. One of them being closed-circuit TV cameras that are installed in downtown areas and free 24-hour control rooms with images, but also an intensive non-formal education programs aimed at guiding youth towards non-violence and providing teenagers with alternative activities to keep them off the streets and substance use. Yet, the CWV program offered Hura only 16,000 shekels for technical equipment, such as the CCTV cameras. The financer for the program, the Ministry of Internal Affairs, was not willing to allow any flexibility with the budget sections. And more so, the municipality had no city control room to connect these cameras to, like all Arab cities inside Israel except for Nazareth at the time. The townships were offered to connect it meanwhile to the city control room. But instead, Al Nabari raised funds from the community and US Jewry to be the first to establish an Arab-speaking city control center. Soon after placing hundreds of cameras inside educational institutions, from kindergarten to high schools, more institutions and spaces were connected to the general system. But some places were kept outside of its reach, the neighborhoods. When asked about it, I was answered by Al Nabari. Violence occurs in these spaces, the spaces between the neighborhoods, like the library or the post office, because they are spaces that belong to no one. Within the tribe, this cannot happen because there is a tribal system. The tribe is a rule in itself. Other interviewees gave me the same answers, pointing to a liminal space and a special municipality authority. So, according to my fieldwork, the intra-tribal space is communal, semi-private, like a very big family house, whereas the intra-tribal space, the spaces that connects the neighborhoods of the homogeneous tribes, is subject to the legitimacy of the civic society. Therefore, only in these areas does the council have the authority to intervene, and therefore only in it the council was given the power by the tribe to place closed-circuit cameras. This creates a situation in which there is a tribal supervision, a pre-modern type of supervision, complements the selective municipal supervision, and two channels of supervision become increasingly intertwined, complement each other, and each separately. And so I'll now try to say it more freely. What I've learned from my fieldwork was that the aspiration of the Bedouin society, which is to keep the rule of the tribe strong in order to keep their traditions and not in traditions like to keep its normative cultural boundaries. It is very much shown in Hura, the layout of the neighborhoods, and also how much non-authority the municipality have in these spaces. And therefore it's a municipality, it's a very thin municipality figure, but also very much under the stress of this plan, of this very top-down national plan for the society, and the distress of the tribes, which say we have a problem with living together. We wanted to live separately, and now that we are forced to live together, there are more violence than what we have expected, and more violence than what we can handle. So the CCTV center came in order to solve this problem of a forced planned space. And with that, I will leave it as this, and open to questions.
Thank you very much, Anna. And I will open the floor for discussion, the virtual floor. You can ask in Hebrew or in English as you prefer, and Anna will answer in the language of her preferences. So please.
Thank you very much, Anna. It's really a very interesting project, what you described. I wonder first whether you have figures about the level of violence following the implementation of the project, of the CCTVs.
Good question. I was trying to tackle it, and it's one of the first questions I get when I describe my my research. And I've submitted a free information request both to the police and the municipality to get figures and look at it statistically. I have seen some statistics, but they're very minimal and they don't show a lot of much picture. I do have the answers of the residents that I've interviewed, and some of them says it made my life safer. Now it's not just the between tribal violence, but now I feel more safe to walk down the street, and when someone drives really fast, I know I can go to the municipality and tell them, someone hit me, please help, please show me, please do something about it. And also the municipality said that they have also reasons for economical reasons, such as they say that sometimes some construction kablanim ruin some of the infrastructure, and now they can sue the insurance to get the money to handle it. But so that was the long answer to your question. The short answer is the violence is still occurring, and a lot of residents said this will not be the solution for the between tribal violence, and we'll have to work about it much more internally with the leaderships of these communities, and the answer will be to change the norms and to leave these mikmadam habits. And so the CCTV cameras do not have yet the impact of lowering significantly down the violence, but they are helping with demanding the police to do their jobs better. That was, if I had more time, I would have tackled the theme of testimony, which was very interesting in that, in the field work. But
thank you very much. Hillel, do you want to have a follow-up question?
Also, very short one. If you have a comparison with what happened in Eilat, do we know the result in Eilat in the same, or in other cities that went through the same project of a city without violence, as you called it?
Interesting. I have not looked into the the Jewish municipalities. To be honest, and to be upfront, when I was 20 and just out of army, I was part of these youth programs in my hometown in Ma'ale Adumim. Only in the middle of the field work, I've realized, wait, I was part of these nonviolence city programs as an employee. So that was a bit fruitful because I was inside that very much at the early stages of nonviolence, city without violence programs at 2012. And I do not deal with the statistics of it interest me.
Anna?
And if I'll be able to make this project bigger and bigger, sometimes I'll have to tackle this as well. What was more interesting to me was trying to look at the other 7 townships of the Negev and look what they've done, because I know that Hura was the avant-garde force of this city center within the municipality and to gain all this, and the others continued. For now, I know that Rahat, which is much bigger than Hura, like 5 times bigger, originated its city center at 2015. And I don't know yet about the rest. I'm still...
Anna, thank you. Thank you. We have to cut it short. More questions from others? Anyone wants to go?
Yes, I would like to make a comment. Yeah, and a question.
Please, just do it short.
Yeah, I just wanted to make I find it very interesting. I did research on CCTV in Jerusalem public spaces in the Jewish neighborhoods. And also from other research I followed, that it seemed that the cameras most of the time don't reduce crime, it just moves crime to other areas. And this I find very interesting, because if you say they covered most of the public space or the shared spaces, so the other areas would be the neighborhoods, and then you say the crime didn't move because they have the tribe rule in the neighborhoods. So I find this very interesting how in a way they try to cover this idea that crime moves and by not letting it move. I don't know if this was successful.
Thank you, Ronen. Now for your question.
The question is, what did you look into what is done with the footage, with the data? Who owns it? I mean, it's not only the cameras, but I mean, because also there's a tribe division on who has access. Is there public access to the footage and to the cameras?
Wonderful questions. So there's few rules for this Moquette. One of them is that no one from the 3 big tribes can be employed in this center. So only the small tribes, but no one from the 3. That's like rule number 1 of this Moquette. And the other one is who holds the information. So I had a lot of questions about, don't you afraid from like the Shabak, the police, you're holding a lot of information with the groups that sometimes it's in conflict. And I had trouble getting a very straightforward answer, but at the end it was that they have they keep it really, really tight. And so for instance, when they share their information with the police, it's only like they cut the part of the videos that is relevant to the police and then send them. And the police doesn't have any possibility to get this information freely. Not like in Eilat, for instance. And that was one of the reasons why Al Nabari insisted that he will form an independent city center and not move the footages into Dimona, because that was one part of their fears, to keep the national conflict outside the purpose of this center that was supposed to keep the residents safe, and no other reason, no other means. And therefore, like when the Shabak...
Thank you, Anna. Anna, thank you. We'll move to another question. Let's keep it short. Anyone else? Jackie, please. You're unmute yourself.
Okay.
Please.
Anna, thank you very much. Tell me something. What of the insights that you got from this research are you interested in expanding or applying to your future project as the doctorate?
Mm-hmm. So I want to move from this series of surveillance just for a time, and I will keep working on publishing this article because it's really important as I see it. But surveillance is it's depressing. It's like we're only seeing how humanity is being held by very, very scary forces. But what still I will still take from this research and for more on is minorities and how they are indigenous minorities and how they are dealt with inside the major national states, and the relations between them, and how much do we respect their boundaries, and how much we tolerate, and how much there is tolerance to the perseverance of their lives, and how much it's being tackled by that state.
Yeah.
So minority issues and minority rights.
Thank you. Jackie, a follow-up question? No? Anyone else with a question? Daniel Zohar, please.
Yes, thank you very much, Anna. I also work with the Negev Bedouins currently. And what I hear all the time that the sheikh, the Bedouin sheikh is going down, and he's what traditionally was as a source of authority going down, and the youth, the Shabab, are the responsible for what's really happening outside. And so my question is, what, in your opinion, is an alternative, decent alternative for a solution for solving the violence in the Negev towns?
I do not feel like I can represent the Bedouins. I can only tell you how I've seen them from my eyes, and their wants and needs should be called and said by themselves. And that is one of the biggest problems of the policy with the Bedouin Negev, with the Negev Bedouins. Like decisions are made from above their heads, and also these projects that I've described to you had also some level of the municipality initiative, and there was some like you will not see. I have not seen a very open discourse with the residents about this. I will tell you that with only one opponent from my 14 interviewees, all of them were very positive towards this action. They said it helps, it's good. Bring more. We need more of these stuff, and it will help us deal with the problems of our own society, such as we cannot testify, even if we've seen this crime, we cannot testify against our own family member. It's a very much a taboo. So when you are giving us a technological solution to our cultural problem, we appreciate that. It will, yeah, I hope I answered your question.
Thank you very much, Anna. And last question for now, very short. So if not, we will do it this way. And I hope this is fine with you, Anna. You have 5 minutes to present your thesis, and then we'll get remarks for anyone who wants to comment. Okay?
Okay. So I would like to argue that there was a Bedouin concentration policy in a defined territorial space, and that it had led to a reduction in the extensive control mechanisms that have been applied to the Bedouin in the Negev at their place of residence since 1966. This change in the reduction of supervisory mechanisms is in line with the trend that Foucault pointed out in his thinking about the disciplinary mechanisms and the biopower strategy, which constantly works to streamline and to reduce the energy invested in order to manage the population. But reducing Bedouin oversight mechanisms does not mean that the state of Israel has ceased to exercise oversight and control mechanisms over the Palestinians in the other areas in which they move physically and as digital entities. And also, this reduction has dire consequences on the safety for this minority. Hura Council activity on the subject is an example of a local translation of governmental policy in a way that preserves the existing power relations in Bedouin society. Here, the council operates between the hammer and the anvil, with the policy of settlement colonialism in the Negev being a hammer, and the plight, the distress of the residents being the anvil. A combined analysis of the two relatively new phenomena, the result of the forced urbanization policy of the Bedouins in the Negev, and trends in urban space networking by surveillance cameras, reveals an important theoretical tire that the research literature has so far neglected. And now I'm just raising two very general questions that my thesis is trying to tackle, and I would like to tackle more in future research. And that is, what do we know about digital supervisions in the communities of rural spaces, not urban spaces, because we are seeing that the spread of this technology is being without regulation, and groups and institutions are using it far more faster than what we can analyze or regulate. And the second question is, what is their meaning of these digital supervision in the relation of national majority group and an indigenous minority? Because that is another layer of social question that we need to tackle.
Thank you very much, Anna. Wonderful step forward. And what we do now is just take a few comments from anyone who wants to say something, to suggest something, to comment, and I will start. I will read the first one. We'll take just 10 minutes for all this. I will read the first one to say, I think you are doing anthropology, so I'm trying to put you in a box, right? So it's anthropological work. I was surprised by the fact that this is a case where the community, the Bedouin community, got autonomy, certain space of control over the technology. It is curious way, and it's done via the municipality, not via the security services, the police and the other security services. So it is kind of I was jumping in one stage and say, okay, why is that? How come that it works? Not what's going on, but why this is happening? And then there come questions from public policy, political science, explaining policy outcome. If this is a policy, how to explain it? So this is my take. Just anecdote. I was publishing a paper on cameras and surveillance in the journal that I'm editing by Edna Margalit Ullman, and she did a very, very nice anthropological essay on a case where one of the members of the Rationality Center at the Hebrew University put a camera in the kitchen, and she told it from different perspective in a very, very nice way. So nice that we have decided to publish it, despite the fact that it's not really the format of papers that we usually publish. So you may want to look at that. Edna Ullman Margalit, the late one, she was a brilliant scholar. nice, and go on and continue to do your work, but the box issue is not only about myself. It's a question to which type of literature you want to add. In which policy community, in which journal, in which academic community, which journal are you going to speak with? Who are you challenging? What is the debate about? But this is me, and I'm not the usual. I'm not your academic environment. So you get your responses from people from large or wide background and different people. So we can leave it at this, and you just take it with you. Maybe others want to continue and to give their own feedback.
Your presentation was interesting and concise, and I really feel that you made your point well, and I would like to thank you and compliment you.
Thank you, Violeta. More people?
Yeah. I think, ma'am?
Yes, please.
Anna, I think, thanks for this presentation. I think for me, the two most interesting things that were, one, the idea of how, how power and power distributions change. This idea of the, let's give all the possession of the information to the weakest tribes, and how this, how does it reinforce a kind of political geography within the town, or does it change it? How does it change it? How do these forms of surveillance and markings of boundaries and markings of personal relationships? That was also very interesting. The fact that, okay, we have a sort of objectified evidence that doesn't require the body of one of the tribes to come and to testify. And these are things I wonder how they would play out if you look now at other minority majority relations in communities, and how they play out territorially on the ground. I think these are things worth thinking and comparing with as you go on.
Thank you, Jackie. More comments? Insight?
I have one historical comment. Can I?
Yes, please, Hillel.
The historical comment is about the decline of the status of the sheikh. So in the military government reports of the 60s and the 50s, they all the time write about the decline of the status of the sheikh. So it's not something new. And also the question whether the sheikh is really a sheikh, or they were mainly appointed by the military government in different kinds of deals about land and about other issues. So it's not that they really had real power always in all segments of society, or the tribe at least. So maybe it would be better to think more about this. But there is, in what you said, there's something which is, I think, very important, at least for me, but I guess also for the Bedouins themselves, which is the question whether, or to what degree, or in what ways they are against their own traditions. Because Al Nabari, what he says, no, we don't want toshas or quarrels, we don't want gom, we don't want, or I mean, are they with it or against it, or who supports the tradition, or they say the tradition is stronger than us, and we need CCTVs in order, like we need the mitzvot in order not to do some bad things. So they need the CCTVs in order not to do. So this is very interesting. And also when you say that all or 13 out of 14 of your interviewees supported the CCTVs, the main reason, I guess, is that you almost didn't interview drug dealers or thieves, or you interviewed them and they pretended not to be. So but this is a problem that everybody who interview tackles. Thank you.
Thank you.
David, can I comment on that?
Yeah, you have 2-3 minutes to go over all the comments in order to keep the framework and so on. So Anna, the floor is yours.
Thank you. So thank you all for your comments, and they are very inspiring. I would first comment, David. I'm looking into very different routes with publishing it in Hebrew and publishing it in English, because with Hebrew, I will emphasize more aspects that are, I see that are very urgent politically, such as the questions of the violence in the Arab sector, which is very actual, like actually for nowadays. And so in Hebrew, I'm looking at Israeli sociology, sociologia Israelit, sociologia. In English, I have not finished my my research of where should I publish, and if you have any ideas and ways to direct me, I would really appreciate it, because I'm young in this process of where to publish. And your comment, Jackie, I completely agree, and that was the first fantasy I had for a PhD, which would have taken this case study and made it a comparative look with indigenous minorities in North America and in Europe, and because these spaces have like surveillance is rooted in the questions of space and who owns this space. And when there is a fight in space, we'll see a very interesting interaction with the cameras and who has them and who looks through them and what do people do with it. So maybe for my postdoc, I don't know, and maybe meanwhile, but if you want to, yeah, well, okay. So that's with Jackie comment. And with Hillel, I must say that like this, the sheikh power and the sheikh, like I have a small chapter in my thesis about the loss of authority by the sheikh and how does it influence the social infrastructure of the Bedouin township, where there are several of tribes that doesn't have a very clear authority. And the answer I got was very, very interesting, which is there is no clear authority, but there is a tribe. And the answers had varied very much. I think like any question that you will ask a group, because we are very much different. And some people in some residents that I've interviewed said, the hell is the tribe? Like it has too much dangers to us, and I'd rather live like these Jews that live very separately from their families, and I want this like very liberal individual way of life, and I'm willing to pay the price of the cultural loss. Others had different answers, and this sheikh and his meanings is, I think, still too complicated for me as a very young anthropologist in this field.
Thank you very much, Anna. Our first real seminar of the summer 2021, after having Nissim Otmazgin, the senior researcher, yesterday opening the series. Anna, thank you very much. Tomorrow we'll have David Berliner with us, speaking about law in the territories and in Israel. And good luck with your graduate studies, and more generally, exciting new few years ahead of you. So thank you all, and thank you, Anna.
Thank you.